Hi, Michelle Glass here, and I'm back to give you a little bit more help with your activity 2, looking at lab 11. So we're starting here on page 108, and our topic for activity 2 is the dihybrid cross, or the two-trait cross. So rather than just looking at what color the corn kernels are, we want to look at that plus another characteristic, and our lab has us look at the shape of the corn kernel. So it can come in either smooth or wrinkled. And so we're asking the question of, what color is it and what shape is it together? And then you do have another chi-square analysis that you'll be completing with this. Now there's two different methods of dihybrid cross presented for you in your manual, and I prefer to use method 2, which is on page 110. And so this is going to be the method that I go through with you on this video. Basically, we take the information we already know from doing a monohybrid cross. So remember, we're looking at two characteristics in a dihybrid cross. And the first one is going to be, again, seed color. Is it going to be purple or is it going to be yellow? So all this information that we did for trait 1 is going to be used here in our activity 2. So this same information. In order to figure out what's going to go on with trait 2, we need to just complete a monohybrid cross. So we're going to look at the characteristic of kernel shape, and it comes in two forms. It can either be smooth or wrinkled. Our text tells us that smooth is the dominant form, and it tells us to use the letter B. So we're going to use a capital B for smooth and a lowercase b for wrinkled. And we're crossing, again, two parents that are heterozygous for this characteristic. So remember, a heterozygous means having both dominant and recessive alleles, big B, little b. So go ahead, pause your video, and complete your Punnett square. Okay, if you're still having some trouble, this might help you out. Now pause and complete your Punnett square. Hey, check your answers was my answers. How'd you do? Awesome. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is figure out our phenotypic ratio. That's all we're going to do with this particular one. So remember, phenotype is physical expression. So in this case, what shape is your corn kernel? Is it smooth or is it wrinkled? So we just need to add those up. So go ahead and pause and do that. Okay, if you're having trouble, remember, based on complete dominance, Mendelian rules of genetic inheritance, if you have one dominant allele, you're going to have the dominant characteristic, which in this case is smooth. So now add them up. Hey, how'd you do? Perfect. Okay, what we want to do next is to figure out what are all of the possible phenotypes that can show up in the offspring, looking at a combination of what color you are and what shape you are. So we don't just care about now if you're purple or yellow, and we don't just care about if you're smooth or wrinkled. We want to know the combination. What's the likelihood of having a purple smooth corn seed, a purple wrinkled, yellow smooth, yellow wrinkled? So what we need to do for purple and yellow is to go back to that first Punnett square and write down the probability of being purple, probability of being yellow. And here, just go ahead and write it in a fraction form. So you can refer back here if you need to. Did you get it done? Pause your screen. Okay. All right, so you should have 3/4 for purple and 1/4 for yellow. Okay, now you should be able to easily do that for seed shape. So go ahead and fill that information in. And remember, you can refer back. And here's your answers. Check your work. Okay, so all we have to do is multiply. So we can multiply the likelihood of being purple times the likelihood of being smooth to figure out what's the likelihood of both of those characteristics showing up together. And so we're just multiplying across. So remember, when you're multiplying fractions, you're going to multiply the numerators together and then the denominator together. So 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16. So do that for each of those. Pause if you need to. Okay, so this is the answer you should have gotten. Great. So this is our expected frequency. So when we're working on our chi-square, which you're going to be doing on page 112, and you need to come up with your expected value. You're going to use these fractions here. We're going to be counting a total of 200 corn seeds. So you're going to take, in order to figure out the purple smooth, you're going to take 200 times 9/16 in order to get that value. And you would do that for each one of these. So it's now your job to complete the information on pages 111 and 112, and you'll be turning that in on D2L. If you get stuck or have questions, let me know.